let's play this scenario. 3 cards. Let's just let's take it from a concept that you just bought 3 8 gig cards. You know that there's a BIOS on them, but you don't know which BIOS is on them, and you just want to bring them back to stock. That's the scenario that we're at right now. This is how you'll go about doing it. You can find online the BIOSes. You can do a quick cursory check and search just by typing in the type of card. What I would recommend is always doing like a GPU-Z, kind of get an understanding of what you have. And what I mean by that is what, not just that you can read that you have an MSI Twin Frozer RX 580, but that you also have, that means also that you have Hynix memory and it's 8 gigs. That matters. And then just check the other cards. So we're just gonna quickly check real quick. That's same thing, Hynix, and then the last one just switched, and it's the same thing, Hynix memory. And you can see this hard-coded 1200 megahertz on the core and a hard-coded 2100 megahertz. These cards did not come at that rate of speed when they were new, right? So that we know that these are running a different BIOS. Now, one thing we can check is we can go into the old Claymore just to get a benchmark before we get rid of them, to see if the auto feature that's in Claymore is going to be any more efficient than the BIOS that's on here. Let's go ahead and run. We'll just let ETH run real quick. Modified BIOS on these cards with hard-coded settings on them of 1200 and 2100 memory. Let's take a benchmark real quick of what these things are. Keep the same. Okay, so these cards with the timings that are on there right now, looks like it's about 30 mega hash at 486 watts. Now that we know that those run at 30, we're going to take them back to stock. You can look up MSI, and you can see that I've already kind of done this. BIOS repository on Tech PowerUp has been very, very good for keeping a lot of stock BIOSes. The root folder for ATI Winflash 2.87. So they're right here. The 4 gig one and the 8 gig one are right here and right here, the 2 ROMs there. So you want to be able to download the ROM, and then you're going to go to PowerShell. You're going to right click on this. You're going to hit Administrator. Now you could use the graphics user interface, but I'm showing you how to do this just in case if you're doing more than 3 cards. CD dot, and do dir just to check the folders. You do CD space A, and then you can hit tab, or hit tab again there because we're trying to get to the 287 folder. Hit enter, that takes you into there. I like doing another dir that just shows us what's in the directory here. Now the ATI flash.exe has been changed with this new version of 287. It is now, you do a period / AMDV, and then you can hit tab and it'll fill it in. That vbflash.executable, and then a space -I, and then you can hit enter, and what that's going to do is going to do a scan across the PCI bus to find all the 3 GPUs and if they're the same. Now you always do the I always like doing this very first to see if I have a discrepancy somewhere. Do I have a different BIOS part number? Do I have a different, you know, they all look the same, they feel the same, but in certain cards like the Gigabyte Aorus cards, they had a 1.0 and a 2.0. They looked exactly the same. The box looks the same. It even says the 8 gig memory, but they had 2 different types of releases for the same card, and the actual part numbers were different, and that means they had also the BIOSes were a little different. So it is good to still do that -I to kind of make sure that everything looks the same. Now from there you would go and you can go an up arrow there, do a minus back from that. What we'll do is do a minus question mark to show you guys kind of the other options in there. If you do that minus question mark, it'll bring you kind of a detailed breakthrough of all the different things. If you hit space or enter a couple times, it'll show you all the different options. We're going to be using the /P option, so I'll just go back up here, /P, and then we're going to say after the P, which means that you're going to push a flash to it. You can do 0, 1, and 2. Those are the 3 different port numbers for the PCIe. So we're going to do GPU 0, and then we're going to start to type in the MSI, and then I'm going to hit tab, which then looks for in that folder, it's looking for a file name that starts with MSI. Well, that file name that starts with an MSI is the ROM files is what I renamed the files for. I knew what they were. So in here, under the 287 here, you can see that I started the MSI.RX 580.8 gig, the Hynix stock.ROM. If I was using the 4 gig, I changed that name just a little bit. That way I could just start typing RX in to get the 4 gig version. But these are the 8 gig versions, so I'm going with the Hynix. And then everything's there. I was just showing you guys where it's at. If you hit enter, that is going to now push that ROM. Okay, now that says it's a mismatch to make sure that we got it. So that Hynix stock MSI one there that I got from the site was not the right version for that. So again, this might have had 2 different versions. And I think I actually got this BIOS locally too, so I can always bring it for my local settings. But we're gonna try to find it online first. And if they're not there, heck, actually it's probably in one of my my own videos, which is funny. I think I had it in this one. It's like Inception, original Hynix. Please wait 3 seconds. Free download. So we're just downloading it for my own thing. Original BIOS, copy. We're gonna paste that into this folder. And that says BIOS original. Man, I'm real glad I put those as my descriptions. I'm gonna hit backspace through this. The name of that was BIOS original, so BIOS, hit tab, which will auto fill in the rest of it. And let's see if this one works. And it does, so this was the right BIOS for it. So that's good. If it does detect a type mismatch, it will say it. I have had it also push a BIOS that was definitely not compatible. So it is, there is some sketch stuff that can go with it. But if you have pretty good confidence on the original BIOS, you should be fine. So we're gonna go, we just hit the up arrow and then over to adapter 1, and then we'll do adapter 2. This is again reflashing the card back to stock. And we're doing the last adapter here. All right, so all 3 of them are done. We're gonna hit exit, we're gonna reboot, and then now we're gonna have stock BIOSes on those cards, which will then come with the base stock clocks and all the goodies. This is actually a good thing, especially if ETH is moving over to Prog Proof of Work, because your timing adjustments on Prog Proof of Work and any kind of hard-coded decrease in core clocks you're going to want to get rid of, because Prog Proof of Work is completely different. It's core dependent more than it is memory. It's not memory bound as much. So we've rebooted, got low solid states, make sure the BIOS, make sure all that's good to go. Okay, now go back and do a quick test with Claymore 12 on Ethereum. Now remember, we were at 30 mega hash before. We were at 470 watts of usage at about 90 mega hash for these 3, and there we are. So we're back down to 22 from the 30. So now what I want to do is run the strap 2 setting on the newest Claymore on these ones. Now this is going to fetch new timing settings, because, and it was Polo H2 before. The other one was a different code. So let's see what this timing does. Now again, we haven't touched the memory settings yet, and you can see there it's updating memory timings, and with just the timings alone by themselves, we're up to 28.5. Let's do a negative 100 on the voltage. And let's try 2100 on the memory. Now we're at 500 watts versus 600. We knocked off 100 watts. These things should resettle back up closer to 30 mega hash with the 2100 memory. And it might be the power or the clocks are a little too low to get to the 30. Let's go ahead and go to 1200 with that and see if we're at least to the same that we were on the BIOS before. It's really about getting back to the consistency of, if you pull them back to stock, can Claymore's new features actually bring you back up to what the BIOS was doing? And then in a split rig like this, you know, when I go to plug in all the cards, like, we got to handle the memory timings a little differently, because we're at 1750 base to 2000 memory overclock, and then we got a 2000 base that's going to go to 2100 or higher. And here we are at, you know, 30 mega hash right now with the 2100. So we're back up to where at least where the BIOS was setting, with about the same clock settings, and the BIOS that's getting, are the timings that are getting applied by Claymore. Let's just push her all the way. 32.9. Oh, so close to 33. Well, that was the main thing I wanted to test and show you guys, to be able to grab the clips that I needed to get you guys back to that story of, if you have an opportunity to buy some GPUs that are cheap and people are thinking about getting back, either out of it or back into it or whatever, and you run yourself into an option on some GPUs where you don't know where they're at, it's always best to take them back to stock. The way I was showing you in Windows makes it pretty simple. If you're dealing with one or two GPUs, that ATI Winflash 2.8.7 does have a Windows interface, but it only does 3 GPUs at a time. So if you're doing onesie twosies, no problem, you can quickly do it. You can also do this on Hive OS. It's a little, I think it's a little easier once you get used to it, but if you're not familiar with like doing commands and doing stuff in like a Windows dashboard with Hive to get a machine running on Hive and all that, Windows makes it pretty straightforward and simple. If you're just banging out GPUs and doing it really quick, you can put a whole bunch of them in a machine, fire it up, do it all in a PowerShell like I was just showing you. It's an interesting way to get to use some of that hardware for, you know, just ahead of the bull run here. So getting prepped for the bull run with all the different equipment, and then getting ready for Navi, which is coming out here soon. If you guys have seen any traffic right now on the 3080, the 3090 XT, that is the new stuff coming out. So if it's the 7nm tech using DDR6, and possibly for their higher end stuff using HBM2, I'm pretty excited about that. So if it's the Radeon 7 is kind of a stepping stone to get us to something that's faster than it, would be sweet. We need to do a video show of all of our rigs to share on the BBT show. Yeah, if you guys have some pictures and stuff that you want to share on the show, we absolutely can. If you want to take some pictures, send it over, or drop them in the Discord. You can get to the Discord by bitsbetrippin.io, drop your pictures in there, and I'll take a look in the rig picture area, and then we can start to bring them up one day.